Welcome to the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dionne, and this is episode 157. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to hit like, follow, or subscribe on the platform that you're listening to us on. You can also check out my work at the loudest.com on the planet, knac.com, for exclusive hard rock and heavy metal interviews, live show coverage, and more. My guest for this episode is Bradley Schultz. He is the vocalist of the Corrupted Hearts. The Corrupted Hearts have a new single out called We Dug a Ditch and Laid Down. They have a new album on the way, and here's Bradley Schultz to tell you more about it. If I knew absolutely nothing about the Corrupted Hearts, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Definitely, we are children of the 90s, so all of us are in our early 40s. And so we were all, Nirvana fans, and we have a little bit of a grunge vibe to it. People have told us that we sound like the Deftones or Stone Temple Pilots or Alice in Chains, that sort of thing. So a
little bit of Nine Inch Nails in there too, I think.
Yeah, probably that.
How did this version of the band come together?
Last August, I sold my company, and I hadn't played music really in over a decade. So I had just taken time off because I had a career and I had 2 little kids and I had, a lot going on. But then I was suddenly found myself being 40 years old and being retired. And it was like, what do now? So I was like, well, I'm just going to act like I'm a 20-year-old idiot and buy a bunch of music stuff and, kind of go back to what I was doing before I got serious about my life. So it's been about a little over a year now since that happened. And in that time, we've got one album came out last year. I've got another album due out December. We have tons of material. I got a couple of bandmates that live 10 minutes down the road, which is nice. And we are rocking on all cylinders. So playing a lot of shows and having a good time. So
how'd you settle on the name The Corrupted Hearts?
I used to be called Inverso. That was like my artist name before, back in the day. And I didn't want to do that anymore because I just didn't feel like that person anymore or that artist at all, so I wanted a new name. I thought about, what does the Corrupted Hearts mean? It's like, we're all men and we all have corrupted hearts. And it's almost like that's what drives society, like in a way it's probably evolutionary how like we got to where we are because we wanted more, I think about it in primitive terms. But now it's like we need to outgrow that need, like we need to evolve past the greed and the want and the always wanting something else, I kind of wanted to just use that name because it's like a reminder. Don't forget, you're a man and you have a corrupted heart, and that's why the world is the way it is, and everything that you don't like about the world, that's the way it is. So don't forget that that's who you are, and try to be better than that.
You guys have a new single out. It's called We Dug a Ditch and Laid Down. It was actually pretty damn literally inspired by you digging a ditch and laying it in the ground, if you want to expand upon that.
Yeah, so there's one day I was on a dig because I did a lot of digging with my job, and I had a trench that was pretty long, and it was relatively safe to get down into. I had some shoring and stuff, but when you're down there, it's kind of weird being that far down in the ground. It's one thing when you're like 8 feet in the ground, but when you're like 14 feet in the ground, it's kind of creepy. It's like eerily quiet in it and warm and weird, and it's like, and it just reminds you that you're just part of the earth, you're just dirt. And so there was one day where I was like, man, I really just want to see what it's like to just lay down in this. And it's creepy because if you're just laying down as if you were dead, and you're looking up and you can see the sky, but it's just so quiet and peaceful. And it just it was a very humbling experience to do that. And I don't think a lot of people get to do that or have ever done that, because who digs holes? Very small amount of people dig holes at all. And the ones that dig them usually don't want to lay down in them. So I thought it was a weird, unique opportunity, but I thought it was a euphoric feeling to just kind of be nothing and lay there and look and be like, well, this is the future right here. This is what it's going to be like.
And lyrically, the song isn't specifically about you being in the ditch, but it's about how significant, how you felt in the ditch per se.
How I felt in the ditch, and kind of looking at like how we worry about all these things, and at one point it mentions a fascist clown, and it's like worrying about politics and worrying about things like that, and like none of that matters when you're just laying there at the bottom of the earth. So it's all that stuff just gets turned down, and all you don't hear anything except your own breath. So that's kind of the feeling that I was trying to go with.
Why don't we talk about another single that you have out called Skunk, if you want to get into what inspired those lyrics?
So Skunk actually it started with our old drummer, the first drummer we had. We've been through like 8 drummers, by the way. The first drummer we had was Isaiah. He was a great guy, but he moved to Maine, so like we had to scramble and find someone else. He just had like the kick beat going like and like and he sent me like a little recording of just those first chords, and he just titled it Skunk. I just left it because I liked the name of the song. I thought that was fun, so I actually used it, just the name of it, as inspiration for the lyrics on there, and just wrote the rest of the song. So I do that now with our band too. Like they'll have like a little snippet idea or something, they send it to me, and I send it back like a week later, and it's like a complete production. Like I just and a lot of times I just leave the name and write based on whatever they decided to title it, intentionally or not. Like it's how it works out. But
fair enough.
Yeah.
You also have a music video out for We Dug a Ditch and Laid Down. It's a bit of a production. Yeah. You guys are out in the middle of nowhere, and you got a lot of stuff going on. So did you lay down the concept for this video? Did you hire somebody to?
We did not have a concept. So we scrambled to find a location at all. And this lady just responded to us and was like, hey, I've got a creepy old barn you guys can film in. And we're like, deal. So we go out there. We did the whole thing in 3 hours. Filmed everything, and then as we're out there, Tom, our new drummer, just starts coming up with all these ideas, and he's like, hey, look at this old chair, look at this old boombox that's covered in like cobwebs, like. And so he starts making a set, and so he just designed this stuff out of junk that was just sitting in this old barn that's like 100 years old. And what ended up being was this super creepy scene, and then he had his sister and his wife and one of his other family members like showed up, and they were all dressed in goth, and they decided to act like ghosts. So all this was just came out of no ideas, just throw it together. I was thinking, oh, we'll get like 5-10 second clips here and there where we can make like little commercials and stuff and Facebook ads. And so I wasn't thinking too much about it, but honestly, like I'm really happy with what we ended up with. It's kind of cool. We ended up editing ourselves painstakingly, so we don't really know what we're doing. So just threw a lot of filters on it and tried to make it look as cool as we could. But it was pretty fun.
Nobody knows what they're doing. I don't even know what I'm doing, so don't worry about that.
That's what you learn about when you get older. You think everyone knows what they're doing, and then you're like, oh, nobody knows anything. Okay. You think like corporations know how to run businesses and stuff, and then you see them get bailed out constantly and they're in trouble, and like, oh, they don't know what they're doing either. Like the government doesn't know what they're doing. The businesses don't know. Like nobody really knows. It's okay. It's all art. We're all just painting and, flying by the seat of the pants. So
you just put on your game face and you pretend, yep. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a cover song out too, Blinding Lights. It's actually a cover of The Weeknd, not an artist I'm super particularly familiar with, but I went and compared the two songs. You kept it kind of true to form, gave it your own little sound though.
Adam, our guitar player, his wife is like really into pop music, so she was always like, you guys need a pop cover. You need to do something like that. So I was like, all right, here you go. And I did it in 2 days. I just recorded it and sent it back to her. And then I was like, I don't want to spend any time on this really. We're just going to put it out, and maybe we'll get some different fans that would not have listened to us normally because they like The Weeknd. I love The Weeknd personally. I think The Weeknd's rules. It's kind of fun to do something that's not in the genre too. But
Yeah, when I was in a cover band, we did Lady Gaga. I was the singer. It wasn't one of my favorites, but everybody loved Lady Gaga at the time.
yeah, they love it. So you don't have to love it. It's like, but it, some fan might like your interpretation of it. So that's cool.
All these singles are leading to a full-length album you mentioned before. How far along are you on this full length?
It's done. It's being mastered right now. We linked up with Corey Bergeron out of Toronto to mix all of our stuff, and he's just lights out good. And it was weird. Like with We Dug a Ditch, like I'm used to like mixing myself and stuff, but I can't mix my own stuff for some reason. It just there's a barrier there of like bias that I can't get past. So I recognize that, I realized that, and I was like, I really just want to find somebody who understands what we do and when work with them long term. So like, we had a guy mix our last album, did pretty good, but it was a lot of back and forth and he just didn't understand what we were trying to do, So the end result was like, meh, okay. And then I actually paid like 5 different people to mix We Dug a Ditch, and a lot of it was okay. A lot of it wasn't as good as mine, and Corey's was like, whoa, like way better. So we definitely found our guy. So he's mixing our entire new album. So I can't wait for that. Like everything he touches is gold.
Did you record the album in just like your home studio, or did you rent out studio time somewhere?
No, I have a basement. I just record everything here. I've got an electronic drum set that I use to track everything for drums. I'm a drummer also. I recorded most of the drums on the last album and like Blinding Lights and some of the other stuff too. We actually did our first multi-track as a band last night, and it was really fun. And I felt like it added a lot of energy and coolness. So I've got the UAD 710. It's like the 4-channel mic pre, just got that. So now we can run that in. And so it's like live vocals, live guitar, live bass. And then all the drums are being tracked through my Roland TD-27 into the computer at the same time. It runs all the MIDI channels. And then we dump all that over to Slate digital, Slate drums, and just pump it up, and it sounds huge. So we recorded Minerva by Deftones last night, and it turned out great. So I can't wait to do more of those. But I think that's the way we're going from now on, is live tracking.
The album's going to be titled Long Winter Blues. When do you expect to have it released?
I think it's the second week of December, but we're trying to like lock down that exact date. We have to get 2 more singles out before then. So we have a single called Black and Blue that's coming out in October that we're shooting a new video for. We have a song called I'll Make You Run coming out in November. So 2 more singles and then the album. And then the reason why we're releasing an album, I know a lot of people say you shouldn't release albums anymore because you don't have to, but we have so much crap and we don't care. Like I've got enough stuff for another album. So I'm like, we got to put the stuff out. I can't do one every 6 weeks because we'll never get all this stuff out. It'll take another year. And by then I've got a different record, so, and I don't think it'll always be this way, but I'm like, right now we just need to get stuff out there because I don't want to sit on it,
Are you working with a label or shopping for a label? Or you can do this all yourself.
We've been working with Pavement Entertainment. They have like Puddle of Mud and Candlebox and a couple others, Dishwalla, Plush, a couple other cool bands. So we're trying to be a regular for them, and we're hoping to get some tour dates with them. But they've been running our promotions, and they're running our promotion for the We Dug a Ditch and probably for the rest of this album.
Is this going to be a digital release, or are you looking at physical release as well?
We do both because we do shows. So somebody still wants a CD here and there, but I don't worry too much about the CDs. And I mean, I don't even have a CD player anymore, to be honest with you. Like I have Apple Music. I really like Apple Music a lot. So
yeah, they don't even make cars with CD players anymore.
Yeah, it's a lost cause. So I think album like records are cool, but even that I'm not cool enough to sit there and listen to records either. Like I don't have all the vintage stuff.
Let's go back to this story that you told that about 10 years ago or 11 years ago, you gave up music to pursue family responsibilities and whatnot. And then you retired at the age of 40. I'm assuming you didn't retire at the age of 40 to pursue music specifically. You retired at 40 because you could.
Because I could, exactly. Yeah. I'm a master plumber. I had a plumbing company. We were doing really well. I started with just myself, and after like 2 years, started hiring people, and it just kind of blew up. So then, like, we got to like 35 employees, and we had a decent sized operation. And then we were thinking, okay, well, we need to start planning to sell this business because it has a lot of value. It'll probably take 3 to 5 years. We'll just slowly shop people, and it was gone in 6 months. So the first time we talked to a broker, they sent somebody, and then all of a sudden we had like 8 people knocking on our door. And I think it was just a timing thing with the market because like nobody's buying anything. Like in 2022, the market sucked. I don't know if you remember how bad the stock market was in 2022, but like everything was down. So it's like, what do you buy? Like they already bought up all the housing. All the corporations started buying housing, so nobody can buy a house anymore. And now so they had nothing else to invest in except small businesses. So they started buying businesses. So like, I think it was just a timing thing. I just got lucky.
What do you guys do in the way of live performances? You staying local? Are you going to slowly start to branch out?
I think we're ready to branch out. Like we've done a lot of Ohio shows, but I would love to get into the tri-state area kind of. Nashville's not that far away. Cincinnati's close. Cleveland. There's Detroit, Chicago, and then Pittsburgh. All those are not that far away. Those aren't too bad. So I'd be willing to do that.
You guys did some shows in the summer locally. Obviously, you're playing the new music and probably then some.
Yeah. Yep. Just testing out everything. It's weird when you record something and then you go out and you play it live and it changes and it like becomes slightly different. And then when you go back and you're like, well, that, people hear it and they're like, well, that's not how you guys play that. I'm like, well, I know. Well, so now, that's kind of why we're thinking like, let's develop the songs first and then live track them when we already have them under our belts. It's just a different way of doing it, but like for bedroom producers, like it's really common to like completely finish a song before you ever play it live, that's just how things are done. But I think it's almost better if you can play it live for a while and then track it later, because then it really develops. Like every little bit of it develops.
Are there a lot of local venues that are receptive to original bands? I know when I played the club circuit here in Massachusetts, they really wanted cover bands.
Yeah, that's a lot of it here. You can go down to the punk bars where the kids hang out and play some originals, but a lot of the bars and venues and stuff that we live near just want covers. So we'll go out and we'll play covers. I mean, I've got a list of like 200 covers we can play. But I don't like to. I'm in it for the art. I'm in it to make something. That's the only reason I'm really that interested in it. I'm a songwriter before anything else. So when it's fun to play covers, it's cool, but I don't want to just be a cover band. Like it's not fun for me, We have an entire set of Deftones songs, like an hour of Deftones songs that are done, because we were thinking about playing a show for Halloween where we just go as the Deftones and play a Deftones set, but still haven't found a venue to do that. So we got to find other bands that want to do it too, but I don't know, might be too late now. But
have you played a particular gig that stands out as one of your favorites?
We played at Fender's in Westerville and opened up for some band from New York. I can't remember what it was. It wasn't not our style. It was like they were like goth metal or whatever. But the crowd was really good and fun, and like that was one of the bigger crowds we played to. And everything sounded good, and the lights were great, and the venue was nice, and the people are nice, and the engineer was nice for some reason, which doesn't happen. And so it was like one of those great memories where it's like, oh man, we really killed that. Like I'd love to go back there. Playing out live is hard, as you know. And the older you get, the harder it gets. And then, the recovery time. Like I used to not have to recover from a night of playing music, but like the next day is like shot, after that. So it's like an event, and you go out and it takes hours and hours and hours. And then you go up there and you jump around like a crazy person and you just wear yourself out. And then, I'm 41, man. I need some time off after that. Like it's tough. And I think it's almost like when you I don't know if you played football in high school, but like you can lift weights and get in good shape, but then you put yourself in a football game, like you're not ready. Like you're not in football shape. There's like road shape for musicians where you're like, you've got to get your body conditioned to the crap that it goes through to play show after show after show. It's really hard. So that's why one of the reasons we want to really focus on live streams when we're getting our stuff together for that. I've been streaming on TikTok lately, but we're going to start streaming on YouTube because I think YouTube is a big deal right now for music. They just put YouTube music out and all that. But I like the live stream thing because everything's already set up. The band comes over, we play through our songs and stuff like that. We end up getting, sometimes you have like 1,000 people watching you. And you're like just hanging out in your house. And like, I can't get 1,000 people at a club, like that's nuts. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in doing that. And I could do that every night and not, need a recovery day, so.
We got to talk about your band promo photo. Now it's either in a pizza parlor or it's on the set of Lena the Plug's podcast. And I hate to admit that I know it's the same wallpaper from Lena the Plug's podcast.
Oh, really? I think we really were in a pizza place, and it was funny because we did a photo shoot that day, and we were out and about for like 3 hours, and like ended up at the pizza place after the photo shoot, and the guy was still taking photos, so that ended up being one of our photos. But
those are all the questions I have for you today, Bradley. The Corrupted Hearts latest single, We Dug a Ditch and Laid Down, is out now, and your full-length album, Long Winter Blues, should be out by the end of the year. I had a great time talking to you about it and learning about the band, and I wish you the best of luck in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Once again, I want to thank Bradley Schultz of the Corrupted Hearts for coming on the Rock is George podcast. Be sure to check out their latest single, We Dug a Ditch and Laid Down, out now on your favorite music streaming platform. Be on the lookout for their next full-length album, Long Winter Blues, should be out by the end of the year. For all things The Corrupted Hearts, head over to their official website, thecorruptedhearts.com. I also want to thank Barbara Papa George and Pavement Entertainment for making this interview possible. You've been great. I've been George Dionne. Discover your next favorite artist on the Rock is George podcast.